Imagine a moment so charged with expectation, so heavy with the weight of global attention that a single sentence could ripple across continents, leaving millions in tears and a nation holding its breath. This is that story. Before we dive into the heart of this extraordinary exchange, if you find yourself moved by the power of truth and the unwavering spirit of leadership, please take a moment to subscribe to our channel. Like this video, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your engagement helps us bring more untold stories to light. Now, let us transport ourselves to an ordinary afternoon in Los Angeles, yet within the hallowed walls of one auditorium, something truly extraordinary was poised to unfold. Every eye was fixed on the stage, where the very air thrummed with a palpable anticipation. A global leadership summit had drawn the world's most influential voices, and among the most anticipated was Michelle Obama, the former First Lady of the United States. Her presence was commanding, her posture radiating an innate authority, yet there was an undeniable warmth, a comforting aura that drew everyone in. With every word, she inspired. With every carefully placed pause, she invited reflection. Her voice, a steady current of conviction, flowed through the vast hall, speaking of grand, unifying ideals. The urgent call for global unity, the critical fight for climate justice, the universal right to education for all, and the imperative for political reform in developing nations. The audience, a mosaic of diplomats, activists, philanthropists, and thought leaders, listened intently, their applause echoing through the space, heads nodding in fervent agreement with her vision for a better world. And then, a subtle shift. She turned a page, her eyes scanning the text with a deliberate pace. The name of a small West African nation emerged, spoken with a steady voice, as if carefully weighing each syllable. Burkina Faso. She adjusted her glasses, a small, almost imperceptible gesture, yet it signaled a transition. Under the leadership of Ibrahim Traoré, she continued, her tone now carrying a new, almost cautious note. We've seen some impressive strides, yes, but also cause for concern. A hush fell over the audience, the collective breath held. While the world often applauds progress, she articulated, we must always question power, transparency, accountability. Are these changes truly empowering the people, or are they simply consolidating control? The words hung in the air, a pointed, unspoken challenge. Some in the audience applauded, their agreement firm. Others, however, furrowed their brows, a flicker of discomfort or contemplation crossing their faces. Around the world, screens lit up with furious energy. Debates ignited, commentary sprang to life, and hashtags began to trend, dissecting every nuance of her statement. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, in an office that felt a world apart from the glitz of Los Angeles, President Ibrahim Traoré sat. He was alone, save for the silent broadcast playing before him. No aides stirred, no phones buzzed. Only the voice of Michelle Obama carried through the quiet room. He watched. He listened, his expression unreadable, absorbing every word. When the broadcast ended, there was no burst of anger, no visible frustration. His response was one of profound stillness. Then, finally, he broke the silence, his voice calm, clear, and imbued with an unshakable resolve. Prepare a response, he said, to the small group that had now gathered around him, their eyes fixed on their leader, but not to defend, to clarify, to show the world our truth. The stage was set for a reply that would resonate far beyond the confines of any summit. The world had spoken, or rather, a prominent voice from the world had. Now it was time for a different truth to emerge, not from a rehearsed script or a teleprompter, but from the very heart of a nation's struggle and its unwavering spirit. Days later, the global gaze shifted once more, this time to a modest podium in Ouagadougou. There stood Ibrahim Traoré, not in the polished grandeur of an international summit, but before a simple backdrop, his eyes steady, piercing the lens of the camera as if speaking directly to every individual watching, every soul who had heard the earlier pronouncements. There was no teleprompter to guide his words, no meticulously rehearsed script to smooth over the rough edges of raw emotion. It was, as the whispers would later confirm, just heart and history. Mrs. Michelle Obama, he began, his voice composed, devoid of anger, yet imbued with an unshakable resolve that resonated deeper than any shout. Your concern is noted, and it is welcomed. A pause, brief but potent, allowed his words to settle, to disarm any expectation of a defensive retort. Then, with a clarity that cut through the noise of global commentary, he continued. But let me make something clear. His gaze intensified, conveying the profound weight of his next sentence. Our movement is not about grasping power, it is about reclaiming dignity. As he spoke, he reached for an object beside him, a simple, worn photograph. He held it up for all to see, a tangible piece of the truth he sought to convey. It depicted a family standing proudly in front of a modest yet clearly cared for house. Behind them, glinting in the sunlight, were newly installed solar panels. The image was stark in its simplicity, yet it spoke volumes. This family, Traoré explained, his voice softening slightly, lived in darkness. Now their children study under light. He paused, allowing the image and its story to sink in, then delivered his powerful summation. This isn't power, this is justice. He continued, unwavering, acknowledging the harsh realities that Burkina Faso faced. Yes, we face challenges, corruption, instability. He did not shy away from them, nor did he offer excuses. Instead, he placed them in their proper historical context. But these did not begin yesterday. These are the scars of colonial legacy and decades of external control. His words were not a defense, but a revelation, a stripping away of superficial judgments to expose the deep-seated roots of their struggle. What we are doing, he declared, his voice rising with conviction, is healing, restructuring, reclaiming our right to define our future. And then something extraordinary happened. As his words traveled across the airways, from the bustling cities to the most remote villages, Africa listened, and Africa felt every word. In countless homes, in crowded marketplaces, from the sun-baked Sahel to the lush lands near the Cape, people heard more than just a leader speaking. They heard someone understanding their pain, someone belonging to their struggle, someone fighting for the very essence of their being. The hashtags that had once dissected Michelle Obama's words now transformed into chants, digital echoes becoming a chorus of affirmation. Young Africans began to stand taller, their shoulders squared with the newfound pride. Elders nodded in silent recognition, their eyes reflecting generations of unspoken truths. Finally, many whispered, a collective sigh of relief and vindication, someone is saying what we've always known. The truth, delivered with dignity, had resonated with the force far greater than any political speech. As Ibrahim Traoré's unvarnished truth echoed across the digital airwaves, it reached every corner of the globe, eventually finding its way back to the very person whose words had set this extraordinary exchange in motion. Michelle Obama watched. Every syllable, every pause, every raw emotion conveyed through the screen. She absorbed. For a moment, the polished rhetoric of global summits faded, replaced by the stark, undeniable reality unfolding before her. She didn't see a rebuttal, a defense, or a political counterpunch. What she saw, with a clarity that transcended the carefully constructed narratives of international relations, was simply a reality, a different perspective, deeply rooted in a history she had perhaps, in that moment, underestimated. In a later interview, reflecting on the profound impact of that exchange, Michelle Obama spoke with a sincerity that resonated deeply with audiences worldwide. There was no defensiveness, no attempt to justify her earlier remarks. Instead, she offered a rare glimpse into genuine introspection. "I underestimated the context," she admitted, her voice soft but firm, carrying the weight of a newly acquired understanding. President Traoré's response, she conceded, was honest. It moved me. Her words served as a powerful reminder, a lesson for all who seek to lead or to judge. We must listen before we judge, and we must remember that dignity looks different from where you stand. Her humility was praised, a testament to her own capacity for growth and empathy. But the world's eyes, now more than ever, remained fixed on Africa, on the unfolding narrative of a continent reclaiming its story. Weeks after the press conference that had captivated the world, the true essence of Traoré's leadership was quietly manifesting far from the glare of international cameras. The scene transitioned, not to another grand hall, but to a dusty, sun-drenched rural school in Burkina Faso. Children, their laughter like bright, scattered jewels, ran and played in the schoolyard. Inside, simple desks were filled and a chalkboard prominently displayed a single, powerful word, written in elegant French: espoir, hope. This school, a tangible fruit of the new development fund Traoré had championed, stood as a beacon of the possibility he had spoken of. President Traoré himself visited, walking among the children, his humble and approachable. As he greeted the students, a young girl, no older than 7, approached him shyly. In her small hands, clutched carefully, was a crumpled drawing. It was a simple sketch: a house, a bright sun, and a smiling stick figure holding a book. It was a child's vision for her future, rendered with crayon and hope. "I can dream now," she said softly, her voice barely a whisper, yet it carried the weight of generations of silenced aspirations. Traoré knelt beside her, meeting her at her eye level, a gentle smile gracing his lips. "Good," he replied, his voice warm with encouragement. "Never stop dreaming." That single, tender moment, witnessed by only a few, said more than any speech, any policy paper, any grand declaration. It encapsulated the very core of what leadership truly meant in this unfolding narrative. It wasn't about the intricate dance of international politics, the measured words of diplomacy, or the consolidation of visible power. At its heart, leadership, as embodied in that quiet exchange, was not about policy. It was about possibility. It was about igniting the spark of hope in the eyes of a child, ensuring that the dreams of a nation once deferred could finally take flight. If this journey through dignity, truth, and the power of a single voice has resonated with you, we invite you to be part of our community. Please like this video to show your support, share it with those who need to hear this powerful story, and comment below with your reflections. Most importantly, subscribe to our channel to join us as we continue to explore the untold narratives that shape our world. Thank you for watching.